Now, when on what basis we are going to differentiate these business organization is that is based on how many people they are operating it, to what extent the risk is taken by them, and how the profits are shared among themselves. Now, one of the forms of business organization we have sole proprietorship. Now, sole proprietorship or sole trading organization or sole trading concern we have. A sole proprietorship is a type of business that is owned, controlled, and managed by a single individual. Sole, that means single person who is the owner of that particular business and he will have control over the business, he will manage the entire business. Such type of business we call it as sole trading organization or sole proprietorship. It is the oldest and simplest form of the business organization and is the common among small scale traders, shopkeepers, and service providers. The owners take all business decisions independently and enjoy all profits, but also bears the entire risk of losses. So, here the sole trading, because he is a single person who will operate the business, whatever the risk that arises, that will be borne completely by this single person. At the same time, he also will take the decisions individually, need not have to depend on any other persons, and he enjoys all the profits. Now, features, when we see the features of a sole trading concern, easy to start because it is started by the single person. At any time, any person can start this particular business, and closure is also easy without or sometimes with minimum legal restrictions. The owner has a complete control and quick decision making power because he is a single person who is operating this business. He has the complete control over the business and he takes a quick decisions without depending on any other persons. Then in case of sole proprietorship, we can see unlimited liability of the proprietor. The proprietor has got unlimited liability. Direct personal contact with customers ensuring better services. Because he is a single person, he will have a direct contact with all the customers who are coming towards him and he will give the better services to the consumers. Say for example, a small bakery, tailor shop, or a neighborhood grocery store. Like we can see kirana stores in our area where we reside. All these fall under the category of sole trading concern or sole proprietorship. The next one we have is joint Hindu family business or Hindu undivided family business. Now, joint Hindu family business is a traditional form of business organization which we can see only in India, which is unique organization in India. It operates under Hindu undivided family, that is HUF system, and is governed by Hindu law. The business is controlled by Karta, the person who leads the entire family, the eldest male member of the family. He is called as a Karta. He will control the business, who manages all operations on behalf of the family. The main purpose of joint Hindu undivided family business is to manage their family and to have a business for the family purpose. Other male members are also known as co-pancreators. This form of business on inheritance when membership is acquired by birth or agreement. Now, Hindu undivided family, the eldest member will become the Karta of the family. So, whenever elder member is there, he will run the business organization. When we see the features of Hindu undivided family business, the membership will comes along with the at the time of the birth itself they will get the membership into that particular family business. Centralized control under the karta, because karta is the person who will run the organization, so he will have the complete control on the business. Unlimited liability of karta, others have the limited liability. Stability of the business due to continuation across the generations. Now, these businesses will run continuously for generations to generations. Whenever a new family member comes into the business, they will continue the business after the tenure of the or after the death of the karta. A new family member will become the karta and he will run the entire business. For example, family run jewelry stores, textile businesses, or ancestral trade ventures. So, such type of businesses will be run by the joint Hindu undivided family business. The next we have is the most important one is partnership firm. A partnership firm is formed when two or more people agree to carry a business together and share its profits and losses. Now, in partnership firm, we can see that two or more people who will come together, partners. So, when we say partner, it cannot be run by the one people, or there should be minimum of two members and more members should be there to run the organization, and all will share the profits and losses either equally, or there will be a profit sharing ratio among themselves. It combines the skill, capital, and knowledge of multiple individuals. As because here we are talking about partners who are joining the business. These people skills will be combined. Whatever the capital they will bring, there that also will be combined into the business. Hence, it is a form of a business organization where more than one person will be there, and the decision making process will be very better, and opportunities will be greater to the extent of number of persons who are operating the business. Now, if anyone, if any group of individuals who want to start their partnership business, they need to get registered under Partnership Act 1932. So, partnerships are governed by Indian Partnership Act 1932. Partnerships are best suited for medium sized businesses that need more resources and expertise than a sole proprietorship, but want flexibility and personal involvement. Now, partnership is better when compared with the sole trading concern, because in sole trading, the entire risks and losses will be borne by the sole trader, whereas partnership here the risk will be shared among the partners, and it is best suited for the medium sized industries. However, partners face unlimited liability, meaning they are personally responsible for the firm's debts. So, as I mentioned, whatever the risk, whatever the debts that are there, that has to be borne by the partners. When we see the features of partnership firm, there will be minimum of two members and maximum of 20 partners, uh, 20 members. Partnership firm is formed through a written or oral partnership agreement. It may be a written partnership agreement or a oral partnership agreement. They share profits, losses, as well as the responsibilities. There will be unlimited liability of the partners and mutual trust. The partnership firm mainly run based on the mutual trust and cooperation, which are essential for the success of the business. And the examples of partnership firm is any law firms or accounting firms and small startups managed jointly by partners. The next type of business organization we have is cooperative societies. Now, a cooperative society is a voluntary organization of people who come together to achieve common economic or social goal. Now, here, when we say cooperative society, with the cooperation among the individuals who join together for working on a particular common goal or a social goal. Now, this organization will form voluntarily. There is no, force from the people. The voluntarily people will come and join into this organization, and their motive is to earn some social goal or some common economic goal. Instead of focusing on the profits, its main aim is to serve the members' interests. So, the main aspect of cooperative societies, they don't run or they don't work for the profits, but instead they work to serve the society. Cooperatives work on the principles of mutual help, equality, and democracy, making them ideal for people with the limited financial means. The basic reason for which the cooperative societies will work in the society is these cooperative societies run on mutual help, because people come voluntarily join into this organization, they help each other, and there will be equality among the members of the society, and there will be democracy. Each one have the democratic rights, and which is very much important in the cooperative society. They are registered under Cooperative Societies Act, and members contribute funds to run the business collectively. Unlike the almost cooperative society is similar when we compare with the partnership firms, but the only difference, the major difference between partnership and cooperative society is in partnership, the main motive is to earn profits, whereas in cooperative society, they don't work for the profits, but they work to serve the society. So that is one of the major difference which we can see between the partnership and cooperative society. Along with that, if it is a partnership, that has to be under the Indian Partnership Act 1932, whereas when it comes to cooperative society, it will be operated under Cooperative Societies Act. Now, when we see the features, it is a voluntary membership. Anyone can join or leave freely. Democratic management. One member, one vote. One vote. That means they have a democratic rights in the cooperative society. Limited liability of members. Their main motive is to serve the people, but not to earn the profit. The secondary motive is to earn the profit, but the primary motive is to serve the society. For these cooperative societies, there will be government support and assistance are often available. The example of cooperative society is dairy cooperatives like Amul, consumer cooperatives, and housing societies. And the next and the most important forms of organization we have is joint stock company. A joint stock company is a large business organization where the capital is divided into shares owned by shareholders. When we say joint stock company, the share capital comes into the picture. It is a large business organization where capital is divided into a small units that we call it as shares, which are owned by the shareholders. It is established under the Companies Act and has a separate legal identity distinct from its owners. The company is managed by board of directors elected by the shareholders. Because shareholders are a part of the organization, they elect the board of directors who will run the joint stock companies. This form is suitable for business that require large capital investments because it is a large business organization. Hence, it requires large capital investment. Continuity, it will continue for a longer period of time, and professional management. It cannot be managed by the members itself. Hence, they need to hire the managers who are professional enough to run the organization, to lead the organization. The main advantage is limited liability, meaning shareholders risk losing only the amount of they invested, not their personal assets. So here the shareholders will have a limited liability. That is one of the main advantage to the shareholders of this particular form of organization. Now, when we see the features, it is a separate legal entity and perpetual existence. It is a separate legal entity. It is treated, business must be, joint stock company, the business must be treated separately from the proprietor or from the management. Hence, it is a separate legal entity, and there is a perpetual existence. Perpetual existence means till the life of the uh, business organization, the existence of this business organization will be there in the market. So we can say that there is no end of these joint stock companies once they have started. But if because of any of the reasons, if they want to close, they can wind up. Limited liability of shareholders. As I mentioned earlier, the shareholders, if any risk is taken by the shareholders, the risk is restricted only to the amount which they have invested. Hence, the liability of the shareholders is very limited. Transferability of shares allows easy ownership changes. Now, if any shareholder want to sell his shares to any of the person, they can easily do it. So they can transfer the shares from one person to the another person, and which will help in change in the ownership. managed by professionals through a board of directors. As I mentioned earlier, these joint stock companies are managed by the professionals, that is, the managers who are appointed by the board of directors. Here we can say that shareholders appoint board of directors. Board of directors will appoint the management, that is, the managers of the organization. Now, these joint stock companies can raise large capital through the public investment by issuing the shares, and public will subscribe the shares. In this form, whenever they require a capital, they can raise the capital from the general public in the form of investments. The examples of joint stock companies are major corporations such as Reliance Industries, Infosys, and Tata Motors, etc. So, this is about the forms of business organization. I hope you have understood. Let us move to another topic. Let me share another screen with you all. Right. The next topic which we are going to discuss is environmental analysis. Right. Environmental analysis. Environmental analysis is a strategic process that helps to identify all external and internal element factors that may have an effect on a business performance. Now, in the previous class, we have studied business environment. In that, we have studied internal business environment and external business environment, right? So, environment, external environment, it is very important. Sorry, it is very important for us to understand so that the organization can run successfully in the market. So in order to understand this business environment, environment analysis is very important. With the help of this environmental analysis, we try to identify what are the environmental external factors as well as the internal factors which will affect the business organization. So, with the help of environmental analysis, we try to scan the environment externally and internally and try to understand the factors that are affecting the business organization or business performance. The purpose of environmental analysis is to find out, let me increase the size of font. Right. The purpose of environmental analysis is to find out existing and prospective strengths and threats, weaknesses and opportunities of the business. In the previous class, we have studied the SWOT analysis. So here, environmental analysis is about finding out what are the strengths and threats as well as weaknesses and opportunities of the business. Now, managers usually perform environmental analysis to help them understand the internal and external environmental factors and the interplay between them. So, here managers, they do this environmental analysis to understand the internal factors and the external factors. In order to perform an environmental analysis efficiently and effectively, a manager must thoroughly understand the structuring of various forces in an organizational environment. Now, in order to understand the environmental analysis, Manager first what he has to do is he has to structure the various forces in an organizational environment. That is, whatever the factors that are framing up in the organization, that must be understood efficiently and effectively by a manager when he is doing this environmental analysis. For the purpose of environmental analysis, the environment of an organization is generally divided into three distinct levels. One is general environment, one is operating environment, and the other one is internal environment. Now, when we see general environment is external environment or the macro environment, which we have studied yesterday. In that, we have economic environment, social environment, political and legal environment, technological environment, natural environment, and international environment, which we have discussed in the earlier class clearly. And then we have something, the operating environment, which is the micro environment of a business, which includes customers, creditors, suppliers, labor, that is the employees or the labor who are working in the organization, publics, financiers, intermediaries. All these fall under the category of micro component of the business. Then we have internal environment. The internal environment, the level of an organization's environment that has an immediate and specific implication for it is called the internal environment. The internal environment which is related internally to the organization. These internal environment includes mission, objectives, internal power relationships, human resource capabilities, marketing capabilities, physical assets, research and development, brand equity, brand image. Now, let us see the stages of environmental analysis. When a manager is performing the environmental analysis, undergoing the environmental analysis, he has to follow certain steps. And the steps are, the first one we have is scanning. Scanning is a process of analyzing the factors that may have an implication on the business. So, scanning here we mean it is a process of analyzing. It is a process of analyzing the factors which will affect the business, which will have an impact on the business. This process involves identification of precursors or indicators of prospective environmental changes. Now, in this process of scanning, what the manager does is it involves identification of the factors which are indicating or the factors which are affecting the environmental changes. In this stage is aimed at signaling the organization to potentially significant impairment before it has fully occurred and crystallized. The overall focus here is to detect the warning signals for the business. The major purpose of scanning here is the manager, what he does is he will try to detect the factors which are warning the business, which are signaling the business that the business has to change now. So that is a first stage, that is scanning. The second stage is monitoring. This step involves in-depth monitoring and analysis of specific environmental trends that have been identified in the first step. In the scanning step, where whatever the factors which we have understood, whatever the factors which we have analyzed, which are having an effect on the business, now those factors must be monitored and analyzed. The purpose here is to assemble data to discern trends and emerging patterns in the environment. Now, whatever the factors which we have identified, now those factors we need to collect the data regarding the factor and trends and emerging patterns in the environment. The outputs of monitoring includes specific description of environmental factors like identification of specific environmental factors and trends for further monitoring and assessment. So here we try to monitor the identified factors that are affecting the business. Now after monitoring, It is forecasting. Forecasting is concerned with the development of plausible direction, scope, speed, and intensity of environmental changes to lay the evolutionary path of anticipatory change. Now, here forecasting means it is all about estimating about the future period. Now, as we understood the current level or the current situation of the environment, now, what the manager does is he estimates based on the present, he estimates about the future, how the future is going to be affecting, how the identified factors are going to affect the future. So, such factors, how it is going to affect in the future, with what intensity it is going to affect the future, with what is the scope that we can cover the environmental changes. All this can be done in this particular third stage, that is forecasting. Now, after forecasting, it is time for the assessment. That is the last step of the environmental analysis, that is assessment. Now, assessment focuses here is to assess the impact of identified factors on the business. Now, in the first three stages, whatever the factors which we have identified, now we have to assess that how these identified factors have an impact on the business. Herein, the frame of referencing moves from understanding the environment focus of scanning, monitoring, forecasting to identify what that understanding of environment means for the organization. So here, whatever we have identified, whatever we have monitored, whatever we have forecasted in the previous stages, now in the last stage, all these factors, how it is affecting the business organization, that must be assessed. So that is done in this particular last stage of assessment. So these are the steps which the manager will follow at the time of environmental analysis. Then approaches to environmental analysis. Now, in order to do the environmental analysis, there are two approaches that are available. One is outside in approach and inside out approach. Means we go from outside, we come from the outside to inside. That is one approach, and the second one is from the inside we go to the outside is another approach. Now, inside outside in approach, also known as macro approach, because we are coming from the bigger factor to the smaller factor, so hence it is outside in approach, so it is a macro approach. This takes into consideration a long term perspective of business. It involves identifying the changes in macro environment and making necessary changes in the organizational internal environment in the light of these. Now, outside in approach means from the macro we are coming to the micro. That means whatever the changes that are taking place in the external environment, that changes we are going to bring it in our organization internally. So that is called outside in approach. That means whenever a change takes place in the outside organization, the change must be adapted and implemented in within the organization. So we are following, if the organization is following this kind of a strategy, we call it as outside in approach. The reverse of outside in approach is your inside out approach. That means it is a micro approach, going from micro factors to the macro factors. That means internal factors to the external factors. Now, inside out approach is also known as micro approach. This involves an analysis of changes in the internal environment of the business. Rebuilding strengths and removal of weaknesses are the objective of this approach. So, the major focus of inside out approach is internal focus. Internally, what is the strength and what are the weaknesses? After identifying the strengths and weaknesses, we try to strengthen the strengths more and remove the weaknesses or reduce the weaknesses of the organization. So, this is about inside out approach. Now, when we see the environmental analysis, The methodological approaches to environmental analysis, the first one is SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis means strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The strengths and weaknesses represents the internal characterization of the business because that belongs to something internally to the organization, which organization will have a control over these. Whereas opportunities and threats arises from the external environmental interplays. That means the opportunities and threats which comes from the external to the organization, which the organization have no control over these. The degree to which the internal environment of a firm matches with the external environment is termed as strategic fit. That means how we are going to match the internal factors with the external factors, that we call it as strategy or strategical fit. SWOT analysis enables organization to identify both internal and external influences. Now, whenever a manager is doing the SWOT analysis, with the help of SWOT analysis, we can identify both internal factors affecting the business as well as the external factors that are affecting the business. SWOT's primary objective is to help organization develop a full awareness of the factors that may affect strategic planning and decision making. Now, with the help of the SWOT, the organization can easily develop an awareness of all the factors. Business can easily get to know about the factors which are affecting, which are having an effect on strategic planning as well as decision making. So this is SWOT analysis. The next one we have is pestle analysis. The pestle analysis, here we mean P stands for political, E stands for economic, S stands for social, T stands for technological, L stands for legal, and E stands for environmental factors. So, PEST analysis is an acronym for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors that affects the business environment. Now let us see individually what these factors includes. Political factors, when we say political factors includes the present political situation of the country, that means whichever party who is ruling the country, that party's policy, party's agendas will definitely have an impact on the country, which indeed have an impact on the business. It may also include international political conditions that may have a bearing on the business. Like for the companies who are working, who are running on a multinational level, that is multinational corporations, they also have to understand not only the national political environment but also the international political conditions also have an impact on these kind of businesses who operate in different countries. Some important political factors includes fiscal policies, monetary policies, exim policies, tax laws, proximity to elections, etc. Now, E factor, which is economic factors, which includes these factors includes all the determinants of the economy and its state and direction. Now, the economic factors includes the rate of inflation, bank interest rates, lending rates, credit accessibility, unemployment rates, and foreign exchange rates. Then we have something called social factors. So S stands for social factors. The set of factors include social, behavioral, or attitudinal characteristics of a business, current or prospective clients. The social factors include socio-economic status, that is below poverty line, average, rich people, middle class people, all this falls under socio-economic status. The gender and connected demographics, lifestyle of the public, the domestic structures, level of education, income level, all falls under social factors. The next one we have is technological factors. Technological factors, the advancement in the technology are greatly influencing the business. As we know that the technology has major impact on the business. Whenever a new technology comes into the business, no matter whatever the type of the organization, if the technology is suitable to the business, they have to adapt to that technology. Performing environmental analyses on these factors help a business in staying up to date with the changes. These technological factors includes rate of technological obsolescence, rate of technological advances, innovative technological platforms, research and development advancements. Then we have legal factors. The legal factors includes legislative forces which may have direct or indirect bearing on the business. Various important legal factors are the legal factors related to the legislative forces which may have direct or indirect impact on the business, which includes employment regulations, the acts or the rules and regulations which is related to labor and employment generation, competitive regulations, patents infringement, health and safety regulations, product regulations. Then we have environmental analysis. Every business unit used environmental resources, it therefore owns an environmental responsibility. How responsible they are towards the environment and towards the society. That explains about the environmental factors. The environmental factors include geographical location where they are setting up the business, the climate and weather conditions, whether it is adaptable to the business conditions or not, waste disposable law, how the waste is disposed, if it is a chemical related industry or a business organization, how the is disposed by these organizations. So there is a law for this particular waste disposable activity. Energy consumption regulations. So this all comes under environmental factors. So this all includes Pastel analysis, that is political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental analysis. Now, when we see the advantages and disadvantages of pestle analysis, advantages, it is simple and easy framework, involves cross-functional skill and expertise because we are not concentrating on one factor, we are concentrating on all the factors which are affecting the business externally. So it involves cross-functional skills and expertise, helps to reduce the impact and effect of potential threats because we are understanding the factors that are affecting the business externally. So in this way we try to reduce, sorry, in this way, we try to reduce the potential threats, aids strategic thinking and decision making, helps in identification and exploitation of environmental opportunities. Then, disadvantages of pestle analysis is oversimplification of information. The information is very simple in nature, may not be suitable uh, to analyze the environment, need to be monitored on timely basis. It is not that every year we monitor it and we are going to continue it for a longer period. No, every time, whenever, because change, which is something which will keeps on changing. Hence, it is very important to monitor these changes on a timely basis. Chances of paralysis of analysis, sometimes we assume that the change is going to occur, but sometimes the change may be sustained for a particular period of time, so that we call it as paralysis of analysis. Time consuming and costly, because it is we are studying about the external factors, all factors we are studying together in this analysis, hence it is a time consuming one and which is a costly one. User access to quality external information is often restricted because of the cost and time needed to collate it. Now, whenever we want to understand about the political analysis or economic analysis or social analysis, it is very much, expensive in nature. Hence, the access to this particular information is very much limited until and unless we pay some amount, or we provide some sort of fees. We pay some sort of fees, then we get access to this kind of information, because it is not about the organization, it is about other than the organization. Now, often managers choose to learn about political, economic, social, and technological factors only, that is pest analysis. The advanced of this pest analysis we have is pestle analysis. Pest is also an environmental analysis. It is a shorter version of pestle analysis. The difference between pest and pestle analysis is pest we stop with the technological, whereas pestle analysis we also study about the legal as well as the environmental analysis. Then we have something called another approach to environmental analysis we have is Michael Porter's five force model. Now, Michael Porter's five force model, according to this model, the state of completion in an industry depends upon five basic competitive forces. Now, according to Michael Porter, he has given five forces model which are important for the business environment. The five forces model, he mentioned that industry depends upon five basic competitive forces. The five basic competitive forces are rivalry among the existing firms, then threat of new entrants, then threat of substitutes, then bargaining power of the suppliers, then bargaining power of the buyers. So these are the five competitive forces as per the Michael Porter's five force model. Now, rivalry among the existing firms means already the existing firms, whatever the existing firms they are having a close competition among each other. They are mutually dependent on each other. Firms in an industry are mutually dependent. Competitive moves from one firm to another firm. The intensity of rivalry may, however, be subject to several factors. These factors are threat of new entrants, threat of substitutes, then bargaining power of suppliers and bargaining power of the buyers. So in the Michael Porter's five force model, the first one is rivalry among the existing firms. That means the existing firm has a close competition among each other. They are mutually dependent on each other. If a manager tries to understand this rivalry, it is easy for us to do the environmental analysis. The next one in the five force, the second force is threat of new entrants. Though there are n number of existing firms presently there in the market, there is always a threat that a new business firm enters into the market. So that is threat of the new entrant. In the growing industry, the threat of new entrants is very high because of the startups, because of the new business firms entering into the market. The threat is very much high. Barriers to entry in such cases are very low. Higher are the entry barriers, lesser is the threat of the new entrants. These barriers are so threat of the new entrants is another force in the Michael Porter's five force model. And the third force is threat of substitutes. There is always a substitutable product with the existing product one. Hence, it is a threat to the substitute products. While substitutes offer a definite threat, the extent to which it depends upon the extent to which the price and performance of the substitute can match the industry product, the willingness of the customers to switch, their loyalty and switching cost. So obviously the consumers, wherever the price is very low, they will shift to that particular substitute, they will shift to that particular product. Hence, substitution effect has a major impact on the business organizations. That is a threat. Then another force is bargaining power of the suppliers and bargaining power of the buyers. Now, when suppliers are supplying the goods, suppliers will have that bargaining power. When there are only a limited number of large suppliers, when the resources supplied by them are scarce, when the switching cost is very high, switching between one supplier to the another supplier, when the customers are very much loyal, then we have to get it from the same supplier, even he is giving at a higher cost. When the supplier can integrate vertically, when the customer is small and unimportant, when there are few or no available substitutes, obviously the suppliers will go with the bargaining. So bargaining power of the supplier is another force of Michael Porter's. Then bargaining power of the buyer. The powerful customers are able to exert pressure to drive down price or increase the required quality for the same price, and therefore reduce the profits of an industry. The bargaining power of the customers is very high in case of when the customers are small in number. When customers are very much small in number, they will obviously go with the bargaining of the prices. When the size of the order is very large, when we purchase anything in a bulk, when any consumer purchases anything in bulk, uh, they obviously go with having a less price. So they bargain more when the order is high. When several alternative suppliers are available, if one person is giving at a higher cost, they will easily move to the another supplier who is giving at a less cost. When consumers can integrate backwards, they can go backwards. When the consumers are well informed, when the switching cost is very low. Now, techniques of environmental analysis, how this environmental analysis is done by the manager. It may be in the form of verbal or written. Written information included the document information that is published or unpublished, whereas the verbal information is therefore also important source of verbal information includes electronic media, conferences, seminars, and workshops. In this way, they can do the environmental analysis. Then search and scanning. Even if the information exists, it may not be readily available. The process of searching and scanning then come into the picture. If the information is there but it is not available, in that case they have to search and scan the factors that are related to the environment which are having an effect on the business. Spying spying or we can say it as a unethical, which is not common in the business. To get the information, what these people will do is they will spy on particular factors or spy on particular competitors to get the information. This is not usually done in by the business because it is unethical in nature. Then forecasting, that is estimating based on the present, based on the past data, we try to estimate about the future data, hence that falls under the forecasting of strategy. Then we see the advantages and disadvantages of environmental analysis. After doing this pestle analysis or pest analysis or SWOT analysis, what is the advantage or the disadvantage of environmental analysis? When we see the advantages, the very idea of environmental analysis makes one aware of environment organization linkage. After doing the environmental analysis, organization and environment, how they both are related on each other, that can be easily understood. So it is one of the advantage. It helps the organization to identify the present and future threats and opportunities. It helps a firm to understand and transformation of the industry environment. With the help of environmental analysis, we can easily understand and we can easily change the industry environment. It helps in adequate strategy formulation and implementation. New strategies can be formulated and implemented by the business with the help of environmental analysis. It helps in making suitable modifications in the strategies. Existing strategies can be modified and the new strategies can be implemented in the business. It keeps the manager more informed and alert. Manager will be more informative in this case, and they will be more alert in whenever there is a change that is taking place in the external or internal environment. Then when we see the limitations, environmental analysis have several limitations. The first one is unexpected and unanticipated events. The events are the activities, sometimes those are unexpected and unanticipated. We have not expected such type of changes that happens in the environment, and suddenly it has happened and has effect on the business. Say for example, the recent war that is going on, Because of the war, there are much changes, high and low prices that are occurring in the gold and silver, as well as in the crude oil. So this is something which is unexpected, which we have not ready for the which the other countries are not ready for a particular situation. So such events, even after doing scanning, even after doing analysis, such events is very rare to happen. Then uncritical faith. Sometimes data may be incorrect, so decisions on the basis of these analysis may be risky for the business. Then paralysis by analysis. Paralysis by analysis or paralysis analysis is an anti-pattern, the state of over-analyzing. This is something called over-analyzing. We have analyzed so much that whatever we are expecting, that may not happen in reality. So the situation that a decision or action is never taken is effect of paralyzing the outcome. So these are the advantages and limitations of the environmental analysis. With this, we have come to a end of this particular topic. Now, with this, in the environmental analysis, compared with the previous class, I have explained. In block 1, Introduction to Business Environment, Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3 is completed, where Unit 1 is a business environment, which includes micro environment and macro environment, which we have studied in the previous class. Then Unit 2, you have nature and objectives of the business, where yesterday I have explained you the business, its objectives, and today I have explained you the forms of the business organization. And Unit 3, you have environmental analysis, which includes SWOT analysis, pest analysis, and environmental forecasting techniques. With this, block 1 is completed. In the next class, I will continue with the block 2, that we have scope of business environment, in which we have economic environment, political legal environment, and social cultural environment. We are going to study about all these three in the block 2 of your syllabus. I hope the today's topic is very much clear and you have understood the topic. We'll meet again in the next class. Have a nice day. Thank you.